Hi everyone, I'm pretty sick today, but I actually took some medicine, not even medicine, I took a Lemsip, and I actually feel pretty alright right now. So I thought this was the perfect time to film this video. I want to have it out before the end of the month, because it is this month's community video, and it kind of makes sense to have it on October as well, since I asked you what is your scariest video game experience. So if I sound weird, it's because I have the flu, but then again, I probably always sound a little bit weird to people from other countries, so let's do this. Lee. The first one that came to mind is the part in Majora's Mask with the music box house, surrounded by those mummies, those Gibdos, and then going inside the house and finding an effed up half mummy dad burst out of the cupboard. This is one of my favorite moments from Majora's Mask, and I talk about this quite a bit in my Majora's Mask playthrough, but the character, I believe, that you meet here, to me is one of my favorite characters, just because the whole world is going to shit around them. But this little girl, Pamela continues to try and keep the house clean. She even buys these wards, these different magical wards, hoping that it will ward off her father. It's a very sad story, but it's also one of the creepiest things as well, especially with a half-up mummy dad. So that's a really good pick. Zanpan Can. The scariest gaming moment for me was when I first played Ocarina of Time and encountered the Redeads. Their ear-piercing scream had baby me crying for 4 hours. I actually almost quit playing Ocarina then. That's always a good feeling though, right? I know it sounds weird to say, but I love getting scared. Getting scared in a video game is one of my favorite things to do. And in something like Ocarina, those guys, I can imagine when I was younger, those Redeads would have freaking terrified me. But it's always a nice feeling having a game scare you so much that you don't want to play it ever again. But then going back into it and overcoming those fears and eventually fighting off those creatures is an even better feeling as well. Ghidorah. I'm gonna go for Halo Combat Evolved. The first encounter with the Flood, the game's dark atmosphere, and the creepy music. From exploring this place filled with dead enemies that I had no hand in killing, to finding footage of one of the human squads that went into the place and seeing them all eventually die, and the moment you start to have control again, you can see a giant mass of enemies in your radar and you have to escape the facility. It may not scare me too much now, but back when I first played the game as a kid, I had nightmares of the Flood, and that isn't taking into account the rest of what you learn about them. Honorable mentions, of course, Mr. X. Mr. X is one of the scary, for Mr. X to come along, and I'm sorry for not talking about you, I'll talk about your thing as well, but for Mr. X to come along in 2019 and scare the entire internet, fucking amazing. Having something that I still scare people. To talk about, I've never played a Halo game, but things will scare you as a kid that won't scare you when you're older. In fact, they'll become loves when you're older. One of the best examples is for me was Nightmare on Elm Street. When I watched Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time, I just saw the trailer for it, or the opening sequence, and I shouted at the top of my lungs, "Turn it off, please, turn it off, I can't watch it." And I could not sleep for the entire night. It was actually pretty freaking horrific. This idea that because killers killing you, scary. But a killer that comes into your dreams where your parents can't protect you, that's even more scary. Because when I watched Scream as a kid, it was yeah, this is scary, but I always have the assurance that I thought my dad was the toughest man who ever existed, you know what I mean? And my mom's the toughest woman who ever existed. And there's that feeling that you feel safe. But in that case, you can't be safe at all. But yeah, stuff will scare you as a kid that won't scare you when you're older, and I think I kind of miss that feeling as well. Only Sage. Definitely the Redeads from Ocarina of Time, and that weirdo in the well called Dead Hand, who was also a mini-boss in the Shadow Temple. Jeez, my younger me was terrified, and I still am. And then you have that as well. It can sometimes transfer to your adult life as well. I saw the Moth in Resident Evil 2 recently that I hadn't seen since I was a kid, and still I was pretty scared of it as well. I find it very difficult to be scared of something like Ocarina of Time, especially since I played it for the first time in 2014. So that's really something that I wish I had to experience for myself, but I never got to experience for myself. Kinda sad. Hylian Avenger. I haven't played many scary games, so I'd say the most scared I've been was during the Silent Realms and Skyward Sword. That is scary. I was around 8 at the time, so definitely scared me quite a bit. If you watch my playthrough of that though, Hylian Avenger, you'll know that I was freaking terrified of that, and I'm 23 years old when I played it. I was a 20 or 30-year-old boy when I played that, and I was scared as well, so Do not feel bad about that whatsoever. That is a really scary, tension-filled world. An amazing world, one of my favorite places in all Skyward Sword, but still freaking scary. T-Dog. The scariest moment I had was when I lost my 100% save file in The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. That is a scary moment. To lose all your progress in this game. And it's kind of one of the things that, like, I think cloud saves shouldn't be locked behind a save anymore. Or a purchase anymore. And I know people are going to be like, oh, Calvin, like, you're just like a shitty gamer who just wants everything for free. Not at all. Not one. I will pay for anything. If Persona 6 comes out tomorrow and it's €500 for a base game, I'll fucking shell out the money. I love paying for video games. But there's this thing of, like, the fact that I have to pay Sony or I have to pay Nintendo money to be able to back up my saves. I don't like that. I don't like that whatsoever. Especially since the 3DS had such a good backup save file or backup save system. I love that save system. It's one of my favorites. But like, I remember with the PS4, I was playing, I had, my games that I'd rotate a lot were Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3, and Dark Souls 1, and then my PS4 just for one day just broke and wiped my entire save files, and then I didn't have those save files anymore, and it was pretty freaking upsetting. But the thing is that's kind of cool about modern gaming is that they have things called like trophies and achievements, so even though you've lost all of that, your account is still tied to the fact that, and like, it knows that you've done all this stuff as well, which is kind of cool. The Legend. The Red Ring of Death. Nothing broke anyone's heart more than that. Oh my fucking god, I know what you're freaking talking about. I had an Xbox 360 and I loved it to death. I never got the Red Ring of Death, but I got a two red rings, red shining lights at one point. And I remember my Xbox 360 just would not work. And I went on holidays with my family and I just left it there and I came back and I was like, I'll turn it on, but it's not gonna work. And all of a sudden it worked. But my Xbox 360 was never the same after that. Like, say what you want about the PS3 and the Nintendo Wii, but if you threw them down the stairs and, like, into a pit of acid at the end of the stairs, they still fucking worked. They were sturdy consoles, you know what I mean? And I fucking loved them for that. Zarbon. The scariest game moment I've ever had was when I first played Resident Evil 7. I was like 16-ish, and this, I can't even describe. It's sort of charged by completely jump scaring me. I can't even describe. It's sort of monster charge sorry, I'm reading this completely wrong. I'm so sorry. For a good 2 minutes, I had the game paused, trying not to have a heart attack. Yeah. So in Resident Evil 7, it's another game that, like, I found very terrifying myself. The issue with that is that I think I did a let's play of it, so I wish I kind of played it by myself because, believe it or not, games are less scary when you let's play them, in my opinion anyway. I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but for me, it feels that way. Because I always feel like you guys are just playing the game with me, so it feels like, oh, even though I'm scared, I know that, like, the guys are there, and the guys and the gals are there, and everyone's there in the comment section gonna be backing me up in just a few moments, so it's never that scary, you know what I mean? It sounds very cheesy, but that's what it is. Epic Blue Tiger 172. Sorry for being a little bit late in this one. I only found this channel recently. I'm absolutely loving the content so far. Thank you very much. Very cool name. Personally, I haven't had a scary experience with any game. I grew up watching a lot of horror films and reading scary stories and such, so most horror tropes don't faze me all that much nowadays. When I play a horror game or see something particularly disturbing in the game now, I almost expect it, so there isn't much of a payoff. The things that make me jump are pretty much anyone else are cheap jump scares and stuff like that. However, there's one game that somehow managed to unsettle me, and embarrassingly that game is Kirby Star Allies. It was my first Kirby game and I first played it around its release at the beginning of last year, and just as I got further into the game, the more the feeling of dread grew inside me and I was completely enveloped in the game's world, and the atmosphere presented really grew on me, which I always really appreciate in games. So when the second half of the game took a dark turn, as most Kirby games do, its payoff had a huge effect on me. It was really odd, a really odd feeling for me that I hadn't experienced before. Even though the credits had rolled and the story was over, I felt like I was missing something. So as anyone would do, I took to the internet and searched for answers and fell into the Kirby lore rabbit hole. I learned so much about the series and still am. I later learned that the feeling was probably intentional since Kirby Star Allies was unfinished. Story and game-wise, other Kirby games also achieved this in me, ultimately making me a massive fan of the series. I was just really eerie and a new experience for me. And the one that twisted my gut, that surprisingly came from a cute game about friendship and reincarnation. Anyway, sorry for being a long comment and bad grammar. English is my first language. I would not have known. I would not have known at all. That was really good grammar, actually. Also, sorry for not really talking about a necessarily scary experience, but rather an eerie one. I just quite like telling the story. And you say, like, thank you for dealing with my shit this far. Have a nice day. What? Like, I don't think I've gotten shit from you, so I don't know what you're saying. Good comment, and a great comment, actually. I think that for me, like with I've watched, again, I'm kind of the same. I watched horror movies all the time growing up, but that's kind of the beauty of it for me. I kind of like ignore every previous horror movie as I'm watching a horror movie or playing a horror game. When I'm playing Resident Evil 2, I know for some people this is difficult, but I don't think about Resident Evil 7, or I don't think about Resident Evil 1, I don't think about Silent Hill. I'm just in this world right now and trying to get directly involved in this world, which is why it scares me. But yeah, like, games can be very eerie as well, and movies can be very eerie as well and unsettling. Best example, Doki Doki Literature Club for me. Awesome Gamer 123. Definitely. Super Paper Mario, because I was 5 when I played it and I had nightmare for weeks. I'm sure you can guess which part I'm talking about. Super Paper Mario... I don't know if I can remember exactly what you're talking about, but that game can get very serious very fast, and there's one moment... I think I know what you're talking about, that involves a girl who seems very pleasant, but all of a sudden will freaking terrify the freaking hell out of you. And as this person says, being an arachnophobe can definitely scare the shit out of you. For me, it terrified me. It scared the crap out of me, so I can definitely get what you're talking about. Loco C. A Harry Potter game I rented when I was younger. I don't remember the title, but the game over screen would turn dark and ghosts would find a view. I was horrified. It was not the ghost that scared me, but the scream that made it. That's so funny. Like, because being scared by a loading screen or a death screen, I can actually relate to that in some way. Shadow of the Colossus, when you die to the 10th Colossus, his face comes up on the screen, and he has these big glowing eyes and like just smiling at you as you're dead, like you're dead. And I remember looking at that and just being like, this is the scariest shit I've seen in a long ass time. And that game in general can be really scary, so I can definitely relate to that 100%. Javier Milan. I would say it is the evil fish in Yoshi's story in a level called Jungle Puddle. He would swim so fast and dash towards you in the water and leap out to the next thing you know you're eating. Definitely one of the more harder levels in the game to 100%. He scared me at the age of 3, and even now as a young adult, it still scares me to this day. I find that so funny as well, because that can happen quite a bit as well, also with like games that are supposed to be not terrifying. They can actually terrify the heck out of you. Spyro the Dragon, spider level. When those spiders jump on top of you, I'm sorry, but that's freaking terrifying. Like, I don't care what anyone says. I'll have to play this Yoshi story game because I've heard about it as well. Again, I haven't really played a Yoshi game either. I played the demo for Yoshi's... What was that game called? It was really fun. It was a really fun demo whenever I played, but yeah, I'd love to play a Yoshi game at some point as well. Daniel Garcia. Oh man, I was at an arcade. Me and a friend thought it was a good idea to play Dark Escape 4 with shutters. We did the whole thing, but my lord almighty, that was not the best decision I could have made. Man. I haven't been to an arcade since I was younger, but I can't imagine playing a horror game at an arcade either. Especially since like it's so dark usually in there. They're usually very good at dragging you in and immersing you in that thing that you're looking at right now in that moment. And I think that's one of the reasons why you would be terrified of that thing. And I've never played Dark Escape 4. I've never played that game, but I have played House of the Dead in an arcade, and that was pretty freaking terrifying too. You know what I mean? It's the last time I've been to an arcade, I think when I was younger, though, I played WrestleMania with my brother. Haven't been since, unfortunately. Byleth. Oh, we have a celebrity. Byleth is on our freaking video today. The original White Day was as scary when I was in middle school. The jump scares with the old stories were fascinating. White Day is a terrifying game. I've only played the remake, but I do know that they're, if you are looking for a scary game, the original was supposed to be so scary. And this is true, this is a true story, that people emailed the creator of the game and asked him to re-release the game but less scary so people could actually finish it. It is known for being a game that not many people have actually finished, which to me is freaking astounding and makes it all the more scary. Death Gun. I might actually be 40 winks on PS1 playing that as a child was scary. That's it, huh? Were you expecting a paragraph? You foolish fool. I give you a short and sweet comment. Much love. Thank you, Death Gun, for giving me a short and sweet comment. 40 winks. I think I've just literally heard of that game recently in an underrated games list for the PlayStation 1. One of the reasons for that was that I just got a PlayStation 1 Classic, and yeah, I definitely heard of it. I got a PlayStation 1 Classic and I was looking for games to download onto it because you can hack it pretty freaking easily. But that game looks so interesting, and again, it's called an underrated game for a reason, so I think I'll have to try it at some point. Dash. Mimi in Super Paper Mario, or the time I played House of the Dead at age 9. I have the Wii version of House of the Dead 4. Would love to play it at some point. It's still such a cool light gun game. But Mimi, guys, Mimi. Can we talk about Mimi for a second? I know I talked about Mimi earlier as well. But Mimi, as a 24-year-old boy, a 24-year-old Calvin, had me nearly wanting to just run to the toilet or run to the nearest cupboard and lock myself in it. Such a scary experience for such a jolly, happy little game. Freaking love it. Carol Smith. Subnautica has to be hands down the scariest non-horror game I've ever played. It does a better job of causing fear in the player than most actual horror games do. I don't think I've ever felt more fear or apprehension in a video game than I've felt when I swam through an open area in the ocean in Subnautica and hear the roar of a reaper I can't see. Or how about accidentally going off the edge of the map into the dead zone and experience that nonsense? First time I did that, I actually had to walk away from the game for a bit so I could calm down. I've heard about this game. I have a fear of the underwater. I have a fear of fish under the water, of creatures under the water, and so I can imagine playing this game would be absolutely freaking terrifying. And it's one of those games that I actually think I didn't try because I didn't want to scare the freaking pants off myself, but I think at some point I will have to try it. June. Gonna go with Majora's Mask this month. It gave us such an eerie and dark atmosphere that I find it almost impossible not to be scared. Sealing someone's soul in a mask and then masquerading as them in such a dark, unique gameplay feature. It is pretty freaking dark, isn't it? Constantly racing against the moon that's going to fall down with the background music goes faster with the tempo each day, giving a feeling of urgency in the game, which in turn made me feel scared. Exactly as well. The moon is one of the scariest things you could ever see in a video game as well. The citizens of Clock Town evacuating on the third day, seeing this once extremely lively town turn into basically a ghost town, was so eerie. The game in general is filled with so many dark themes that I can really only scratch the surface. It's true. It's very true. It's a scary game. And a lot of people don't like the race against the clock, and I can totally understand that. But for me, as a person who has played Persona for a long time, the whole idea of time management is actually pretty freaking fun. At first it was really unsettling because I didn't know how to feel about it in a Zelda game, but after a while I just got very used to it. But that moon, looking up at it for the first time playing Majora's Mask, and I actually have that moment on my Majora's Mask playthrough. I don't think I'll ever actually get over it. Caden21, doing any Minecraft hardcore with a group of friends. There isn't anything as scary as your friends slowly being picked off throughout the game, only for maybe you and 2 other people left to fight the boss after not dying yet. Getting down to 1 hit when fighting enemies makes me panic more than any other game, and I can't count the number of times I get jump scared by the enemy because of my fear of losing hardcore. Minecraft is a really freaking cool game. I think it gets a bad rap, and I think it's those situations that are some of the most fun things you can play through. I'm glad we're past it though. I'm glad we're past the whole Minecraft is dumb, because it's not. It's a really fun game, and I would love to actually play some more at some point by myself. Thackeray Scroggins. All of Bloodborne just absolutely terrified me. Not necessarily that I was frightened by the things in it, but I genuinely feared death, and so every time I lost a lot of blood echoes, or simply I was low on health, I was just petrified and jumped at every small thing, and was just doing everything in my power to not freak out. Edit. It also doesn't help that I'm not good at the game. Bloodborne. Okay, the reason I bought the PlayStation 4 in the first place was because of Bloodborne, and I remember playing this game for the first time, and there is that thing where like, and the thing is, enemies, by the way, guys, it's not like Dark Souls where like you can see an enemy coming towards you, he's walking towards you and he jumps towards you, then you can block and like parry. In this, if you're low on health, enemies love just rushing you. They love just running at you. They love jumping at you in this game. And it is counterbalanced by the fact that you're able to move faster and hit faster, but like it's not a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling because it's tense and like awesome to like to play through, but it's a really scary experience other than that. Kelsey Kirsten. My scariest video game experience was definitely seeing Armagoma from the Twilight Princess, time in Twilight Princess. I have severe arachnophobia and this boss is a giant frickin' spider. I threw my controller across the room and definitely had a panic attack. Not fun times. I remember this boss. I remember being absolutely freaking terrifying. Terrified of it. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know, like, I can get past like, I can get past a lot of freaking things in video games and not be scared of a lot of things in video games. I actually like just searched there on YouTube just to see if it was there. But like I searched Romer spiders, and the first thing that comes up is like a video of Resident Evil 0 of me going giant freaking spiders as well. Because again, I was freaking terrified of spiders also. Spiders are terrifying. Cloud. I have a couple of stories, but I'm only going to talk about 3. When I was really young and I would play Majora's Mask, I would stay far away from the hand in the inn. As a kid, I would be the scariest thing to me in a way. In the way it moved its gross hand. The second was when I was older and rented X-Men, the official game for GameCube, a Blockbuster. There's a part with Nightcrawler where there would be some sort of ghost kid that would just pop up randomly throughout the stage in a slightly distorted voice and just made me want to stop playing. And the third isn't that scary. You're playing Ysei Lacrimosa of Dana, and I fell off a cliff on purpose, and it gave me a bit of a phobia when falling off cliffs in the game. So now it has been happening in other games too. When I play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, every time I jump off a high cliff, it makes me uncomfortable and queasy. Funny you say that, because in Xenoblade Chronicles, it's kind of like a tradition now with that game for most players to jump off cliffs. It's like one of the most fun things to do for me. I love jumping off cliffs in Xenoblade Chronicles, and especially in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as well, because you can get such a high point as well. I don't know. For me, it's really fun doing that. But yeah, I can totally get what you're saying. And you say like Lacrimosa Dane is a really good game, Cloud. It's a really freaking good game. Shiny Hunter Eevee. Shaking trees in Animal Crossing, then suddenly being attacked by bees. Can't relate, but I can relate being stung by a bee, and that sounds freaking horrifying. Emil Callisto. The King Boo jump scares in Luigi Mansion's Dark Moon when you look at the picture and he flies into the screen, and you look at it and remember that the picture he moved, that's scared, because I didn't expect it. Oh, because I didn't expect it. There's a scary sound, but in the game it's scary as heck. Emil, I've actually played a bit of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. I think it's called Luigi's Mansion 2 over here. And one of the best vibes, as you know, I love mansions. I love mansions, which is kind of crazy that I haven't played more of the Luigi's Mansion series. It's kind of bullshit, actually. I love mansions and haven't done it yet. But I'm going to have to get on that at some point because I'd love to experience some of the stuff that people have experienced as well. 20 Meh 05. Interesting name. I almost started crying because of chapter 2 of Bendy the Ink Machine. In the beginning, one cardboard cutout was looking at you, and every time you left the room, another cutout appeared. There were just about 50 bendy cutouts staring at me with their empty eyes, and when my computer wanted to let me know that there are new updates available, I thought I'd die. This game is something that always pops up into my recommendeds. People are always talking about this game, and I think and again, it's just this whole list is usually like finding out stuff that you like, and I love this list because these list videos, or these community videos, because it gives me new ideas of what games I should play. Sometimes I find about games that I've never even touched, and this is definitely one of them. My nephew thinks it's really cool though. Phantom, every Kirby final boss. I'll take your word for it. Jessica Freiberger. Although it's a lesser known game, but still excellent, the game Bastion has a section where your character passes out and fumes in a swamp, and the narrator, who has been supplying you with encouragement and humor, suddenly turns downright sinister, and you are forced through an acid trip dream world of past environments all mixed together. Scared the heck out of me, especially when the narrator starts mindlessly humming in your ear. Gah. Bastion is again, I've heard of Bastion. Again, it's sorry that I can't relate to a lot of these stuff. I'm sorry I can't relate to a lot of these questions. But whenever like a character and I think Bioshock is a perfect example as well. Whenever you're in one situation, then all of a sudden the one thing you depended on is just gone forever. It's a really, really bad feeling. And finally, Left the Skeleton. Well, to be honest, there are way too many scary moments in non-horror games and horror games, but I can tell for sure, for me, it definitely comes down to the Zelda series. It doesn't even take a certain title, but the fact how dark the different games can get due to the story, maybe the enemies, or just throughout the atmosphere, sometimes gave me nightmares for days. Mostly terrifying for me once definitely was the Re-Deads, Mummy/Zombies. These really gave me nightmares, and I still remember today, but for sure, there aren't the only things which creep me out from the Legend of Zelda series. Zelda can have really freaking scary moments. Recently in Twilight Princess, I encountered one of the Re-Deads once again, and it freaking got me good. It got me really freaking good. I played this game before, and it still shocked me seeing these guys because they know how to create a really scary guy. Freaking great answers, guys. Really fantastic answers. I'm sorry I couldn't talk properly throughout the whole thing. I'm still pretty sick, but I wanted to get this video out today because it is the community video for this month. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to rest my voice probably for 2 days straight. If I don't have a video out tomorrow, I apologize. But I really, really can't wait for the next one as well. I'll see you in November, guys. Bye-bye. Oh, and happy last stop before Christmas. I mean Halloween.